Hello my duckies. I've managed to secure myself an iPhone 3G model, and I've had this for just over 2 weeks. So now I think I would have enough time to mess around with this thing to give a little bit of review to see if it's actually any good or not. Now the first thing about it being in a phone is it any good as a telephone? Now I was a bit surprised by how good it is. The phone quality is good, you can actually hear the other person, you can actually talk to the other person, and well, the reception is pretty good as well, which surprises me because I live in Oxford, and Oxford is notorious for O2 customers for giving a bad reception. I don't know, maybe they've got a deal with some other company or something or other. But I can use this phone in Oxford quite well, so for me that gets a bit of a bonus. And the other thing you might notice about the new 3G model is its design. Now it's looking sleeker, blacker and leaner, but in actual fact it's a couple of millimeters thicker than the old model, and I'm guessing it's just so they can cram in more gubbins. But they managed to get away with it by having this optical illusion of a sleek curvy bottom, much like a woman in a corset trying to cram in as much stuff as possible whilst looking sexy. And I'm used to having small phones, like the best example I can think of is the Nokia 6300, but really, this feels good. It feels right in my hand. It's like a wad of Benjamins, and it feels good when it's against my head, pumping my head for the radiation. And it fits into my pocket nice and sleek and sexy like. It doesn't bulk out my trousers unnaturally, and no one will ever know I have an iPhone in my pocket, which is fantastic. Now, one of the main reasons why I bought this iPhone is not just because it's a telephone, not just because it's a texting machine, but because of its photo application. It's essentially a photo album in your pocket. With its 8 gig or 16 gig model, you can store many photos. Now I'm just going to show you this right now, sorry for the blurry picture, but you can scroll through your entire album with a flick of a beam flicking finger. And we go into your collection of photos like so, scrolling up and down, seeing what kind of collections you have, and you can take a closer up of the picture, and with this pinching type technology you can zoom in and out. Now this just is really simple and intuitive for a person to use. Scroll around and such, flick through the different pictures which you might have. You can even tilt it on its side to get it on landscape and such. And because of its huge screen, you can get a good detailed view of the picture which you're showing off to your various people, saying how beautiful you actually are. So really, having a phone like this, it's just great for showing pictures. Now, one of the killer apps of this actual iPhone is its touchscreen interface, where you can intuitively scroll around and actually write your text messages and emails using the actual quirky keyboard. So you're not mashing at the number pad of a old mobile trying to find the goddamn E, and when you keep missing the E you have to go through the entire collection. You can just simply type out the words which you want. And doing this makes typing an email an absolute joy. And one of the side effects of this is that your emails and your text might become much longer. Why, in my case, I'm sending huge text messages to my friends, to which case they will receive a bulk text of 3 or 4 messages at a time. And to me, I'm absolutely in love with it, because it's so simple and intuitive to do. By the way, if you ever want to get an iPhone 3G, do not go for the £30 model tariff on O2, because it's a rip-off. Spend the extra £5, you get a lot more minutes and a lot more text messages. It's worth it, really it is. Now one of the fun things about this, I didn't think about this, is it's actually a pretty good iPod. I wasn't intending to use this as an iPod, but it's just one of the things that just comes up, you know, and it works just great, really. Listen to my music and such on the go, wherever I am. And the nice thing about this is the head jack is now being changed from the old model to the new one, so that any headphone with 3.5mm jack should fit into it without an adapter, which is absolutely brilliant for the mass market, so we don't have to buy their white headphones which turns you into an automatic victim, which can be spotted a mile away. And one of the other things about the iPhone is it has email and a Safari web browser built into it, so you can browse the internet wherever you are in your hands, and the Safari browser is surprisingly useful, so let's go for it. This is the web browser which is running through the house's Wi-Fi, and it renders the web page just like any other web browser. But Grax, I hear you cry, I cannot see that the text is far too small for my beautiful eyes. Never fear. With a simple pinching action, you can expand the text and zoom in and be able to read it. You can also tilt it on its side to have it in a landscape view, which can make things possibly a bit more readable or not. It's up to you. And clicking through, it acts just like any other web browser. Zooming in, going to the next page, Wi-Fi connection comes up nice and smooth, and browse across as much as you like. Learning about Ryan Wainwright. Who the heck is he? I have no idea. Being able to access my emails wherever I go, I can constantly check my emails every 5 minutes to see if I'm actually popular when in actual fact I'm not. I think there's a condition for this kind of obsessive compulsive disorder, being the BlackBerry syndrome or something like that. And of course, one of the selling features of the new 3G model is the 3G technology. This new technology, which is an improvement over the Edge technology, allows you to browse on the internet out and about at a much faster pace. Now, this is much faster than Edge technology, but really it's kind of like an overglorified modem. So if you're like me, you'll probably be hunting for Wi-Fi hotspots so you can actually use a Wi-Fi connection. One of the other cool things about this is you can download lots of applications for the iPhone, where you can download anything you want. But really, the applications it comes with is pretty solid. And one of the most useful applications is Google Map, where it's essentially Google Map in your pocket, and in theory, you will never ever get lost. Although, with my sense of directions, who knows? Now, with all these great little treats about this iPhone, you'd think that this is a perfect little telephone for anyone to use, and it is absolutely flawless. Wrong. The iPhone is not perfect. There are certain flaws with it. At the time of creating this video review, the iPhone has a distinct lack of accessories available to use with it. If you try and plug something into it, it complains at you saying it's not compatible and it might not even work. A prime example is me trying to find a car charger for this, and I discovered that the majority of them don't work. So if you do happen to buy yourself a 3G model, look online, do your research, figure out what accessories actually work with this before you actually invest in something which won't work. Another downside of the iPhone is, at the time of this video review, is there's, or for some reason, a slight delay in certain applications where it takes a moment or two for it to actually wake up and do something about it. The best example of a delay in reactions is in the contacts menu, where you get a list of contacts and such, but if you want to try and flick up and down, you can see nothing's actually happening. I'm flicking the bean as much as I can, but it's only till 3 or 4 seconds afterwards does it actually react. Now, this is something that could infuriate most people because it's not instantly working as it should do, and that kind of thing could put someone off. Now, hopefully this is something that they will update in future updates of the iPhone software. Now, there's the number one disappointing thing about the iPhone: iTunes! Now, I don't like iTunes at all. I think it's bulky, I think it's bloatware, and I don't think it's very user-friendly in my opinions, unlike other media players. But the trouble is, you have to use iTunes on the iPhone, because the iPhone doesn't act like an external hard drive. You can't drag and drop music files, you can't drag and drop photos or anything onto it. You have to sync it up with iTunes. Now, I had to use it grudgingly just to get some tunes and some photos onto it, but really it would have been better if you can drag and drop things like an external hard drive. So, is it worth actually buying an iPhone? Now, despite all the shortcomings of an iPhone, I really think that this is a solid bit of kit. It's a decent phone, it's a decent email and web browsing device, it's a media player, which just is quite handy to have, and it's a photo album and pocket, which is the main reason why I bought it. So yes, I would recommend this to anyone to use it, especially now the prices have dropped. And with that, I give it Grax's seal of approval.